Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and this is where old BioWare went. Many people were wondering after Dragon Age the Veilguard, like, where are some of the dispersed original members of BioWare? The ones who made games like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, Jade Empire, Dragon Age Origins. Where'd they all go? Some of them have scattered off to their own studios, and some of them have actually gathered together under Archetype Entertainment, which is an internal studio at Wizards of the Coast. You know what really cracks me up is as I was working on this video, I've seen the occasional comment pop up of someone asking me like, yeah man, you're really talking about BioWare a lot now because of all that Dragon Age controversy. I'm like, dude, how new are y'all to this thing, man? I've been talking about BioWare since 2011. After Dragon Age the Veilguard, though, a lot of us have had the same question, like, where did some of that old BioWare talent go to? And so I spent the whole day catching up on what's going on with Exodus. They have over 20 videos up on their YouTube channel, from developer Q&As to the original reveal trailer that was at the Game Awards last year, to even a brief snippet of gameplay, information on their companions. If you go to their homepage on their website for exodusgame.com, you're going to see a ton of information on the game there, all getting into the lore of things. But I want to go over everything from top to bottom. The staff who is managing this game, the promises that they are making, but also just a warning, of course, because I'm seeing a lot of that ex-BioWare community get really hyped on this game. And don't get me wrong, the things they're saying, I won't be able to contain myself. You've been warned. However, we need to approach this with, I think, the same way we should have approached the Callisto Protocol. I remember heading into the Callisto Protocol, we were all hyped because a lot of the original minds from Dead Space were working on this game. And it turned out to be a very average game that missed the mark in a lot of areas that seemed obvious, but the marketing for it was perfect. The way they were showing gore and violence and the Dead Space vibes where the UI was built into your character. I'm like, oh my gosh, they get it. I'm not going to try to sell you on Callisto Protocol being the worst thing ever. I think it's like a hidden gem for many, but definitely compared to what I think is the best survival horror game of all time in Dead Space, it's a bit of a miss in my opinion. And I think that was because we all made the mistake of hyping it up like it's the next Dead Space, and the same thing is happening with Exodus. A lot of people are looking at teammates like James Olin, Drew Karpyshyn, and so on, these ex-BioWare titans, and going, well, this game's going to be amazing, but the reality is that they are doing a lot of talking, but not a lot of showing of the actual game outside of like 30 seconds of footage. Now, I am keen to see what they are actually cooking, because the ideas here on paper are ambitious. They already have a book written in this game's universe. There's so much to get into about Exodus, but that was the main thing I wanted to open up with, is this could be what a lot of old school BioWare fans like myself are looking for, but that you should go in with a level of cautious optimism, which I think is the best thing you can do for the game, right? Save yourself from the disappointment, but when it starts to deliver on the things that you really wanted to deliver on, you can just get unapologetically hyped, and that's great. So with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Exodus from top to bottom.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
The following video is sponsored by Brilliant.org. Brilliant has been a partner of the channel for multiple years, and that's for good reason. They are one of the best places to go and learn, and best of all, they make it insanely easy. Let's take a moment to just assess our lifestyle for a bit. I'm as guilty as anyone of the mindless scrolling, checking all of my social apps, and burning a ton of time doing something insanely unproductive. What Brilliant has helped me do is substitute some of that unproductive time with learning, because you can use Brilliant on the go. It's easy, it's available anywhere, right on your phone, with lessons that you can do really quickly, drop in, drop out, and just dive into whatever topic you're interested in. It's all hands-on, meaning that it's 6 times more effective than watching just lecture videos online, and Brilliant's lessons are crafted by an award-winning team of teachers, researchers, and professionals from MIT, Caltech, Duke, Microsoft, Google, and more. So yeah, we got the good stuff here for sure. I feel like problem solving and critical thinking skills are fading from our society. Brilliant is keeping that a bit more alive. So if you're interested, try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days by visiting brilliant.org/MrMattyPlays, or you could click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Starting off with who is making it. James Olin is the studio director, and he was the lead designer on Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, followed by leading the production for Star Wars The Old Republic. So yeah, like right there, I mean, Knights of the Old Republic, okay, you got me sold. But then Drew Karpyshyn steps in, right? This is the lead writer for BioWare's best games, in my opinion. Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, Mass Effect. And because Exodus is a sci-fi spirited game, very much so, as we'll get into in a moment here, they brought in Peter F. Hamilton, who's a renowned veteran sci-fi author, to help not only build out this universe, but to even write a book within the Exodus universe, which it seems like they have almost Warhammer level plans for Exodus. Like, how many stories can we fit inside this universe? Because one thing that they kind of let rip in some of these Q&As a few times over is, we plan to be here for years, decades even, which we've been there with like Destiny, where the decades promise I don't think is aged super well, super favorable, but you get the idea that they're thinking broadly, because when we start to get into their focus on choice and consequence and what that exactly means, I think it's going to excite a lot of people. But what was also interesting is hearing James Olin talk in one of the Q&As about how he would actually get stuck with his own IP on like, hey, we're trying to come up with this thing we want to do, but we need an idea to kind of enable it within the IP, and he would just shoot Peter Hamilton an email and he'd come back to him like with a complete idea of what exactly that could be, and then they'd run with it. So it seems very collaborative. But the other thing that they marked here that I thought was an interesting choice of words is the freedom they've had to tackle this project how they desire. They say every developer dreams of doing this. We have the freedom to do what we want here. And I think that's especially important, because one knock against this game could be the same thing that was building up hype for Anthem. Remember when BioWare announced Anthem, a lot of hype was built up when Drew Karpyshyn had returned to write for this game. A lot of people were trying to tell me when I was not hyped for Anthem because it was a looter shooter game, and I'm not looking at BioWare for looter shooter. People were saying, Matty, calm down. Drew Karpyshyn is back. But look, only one person can make such a force for good or evil, is how I always define it, right? And so I don't think Drew Karpyshyn was the sole reason Anthem failed, but the same reason people are hyping up Exodus is the same thing here. Like, it's Drew Karpyshyn, but the key being is that there is creative freedom apparently with this project, which is very exciting, because we've read the development diaries of how Anthem was creatively constricting, and it was also a game that was put together for many years, then shut down, then turned back on. So yes, the staff here, especially as a Knights of the Old Republic fan, is very exciting, especially when my man James said in this video, he's like, look, man, like, of course Star Wars is a massive sci-fi inspiration for me. I'm like, let's go. One of us, let's go. Now, what else inspired this game? I mean, you can tell by the fact that they have Matthew McConaughey. You look at the actual trailer of this game when they first announced it. It's so Interstellar inspired. It's gross, but in a good way. They mentioned other IP like Dune, but this game has insane Interstellar vibes. It messes with time dilation, particularly in its choice, but I like how they're rethinking it a little bit, because I think it can open up a lot of cool choice and consequence options. But also, they're keeping Matthew McConaughey's role in this game a secret. They said he's going to have a big presence from the start of the game to the ending and epilogue, but that there's also a twist with this character. You'll even see with some of the music in this game as well, in the terms of past inspiration. It is so Mass Effect coded. It gave me goosebumps when I heard it. I went, I know that music when I hear it. And it was exactly that. And one thing I've talked about a lot with Mass Effect is time has been extremely favorable to that trilogy in a day and age where all we get are remakes and remasters and occasionally original ideas and series. You have to wait for them to span an entire multiple set of generations for consoles. Mass Effect was done in one generation, and it was absolutely incredible, and you got to carry your saves forward and you got to build strong relationships with these characters. Like, it was beautiful. So if I feel anything Mass Effect coded with something, I get very excited, and the music here is especially Mass Effect inspired. What we also learned about this is that it's set in the Omega Centauri, which is an ancient and unusual galaxy, is how James Olin described it. And they said they want to build within this galaxy for years or decades even. So what's within this galaxy is a lot of different alien races. There are the Celestials, which possess a technical prowess beyond imagination, far more than humanity, and it's described that humanity is actually at the bottom of the food chain here. There are races called the Awakened, which is a really interesting thought, because science has evolved thousands and thousands of years in the world of Exodus. So you have like bears or ravens that are functioning on a different cognitive level. Like, bears turn into soldiers and they can communicate with one another. It's really a fascinating way of approaching science fiction, but they are trying to keep it grounded in realism a little bit. Still, they're also people like the silicates, which can bond with humans and pretty much level the playing field between the humans and the Celestials, where the humans are at a clear disadvantage. There's the Maruyama, which are Celestials that have been twisted into these monstrous forms. They can create a thing called the Coven, which are described as their soldiers. What I think of the Maruyama as is basically this universe's version of the Flood, and that really got me excited. Like how the Flood converted humans into these monstrosities, kind of the same thing here with the Maruyama. And there's also the Archivir, which is a disposable workforce that's been made by the Celestials to mine planets, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of alien races here. There are even companions that are of the alien races. We actually know what a couple of these companions are. They broke down in their Q&A that there is one companion, an Elise, who is a gang leader turned mercenary. She's the one you see in a massive mech suit, but that's all we really know otherwise. But companions are said to be a big part of this experience, as will you as the player. Of course, your main character is going to be voiced. They said that's because they wanted to draw you into this character a little bit more, but they also gave a really interesting answer on who you are, because people were writing in for these Q&A saying like, okay, well, can we be human or non-human? And they said that we can't confirm that because of the choices you make, which suggests to me that as you go down this pathway, I guess depending on, you talked about earlier here, the silicates, can you mold with them potentially and become less human than you originally started the game as? But this seems like a game and a series really focused on the evolution of humanity through, of course, science, but also some sort of more ethereal being, right? And again, I'm just really keen to see all these things they're talking about right before my eyes with the game itself, because they have a ton of concept trailers, a ton of them. Like if you were looking to fully inform yourself on the lore, on what's going on here, like this information is not hard to scoop up. I literally watched a bunch of YouTube videos, went to their website, did a little bit of reading, and here I am. It took me like an hour or so's time, and it was totally worth it because it really just fills you in on what exactly they are building here. But they're still being insanely cagey. Like their most popular answer for everything from gameplay to choices is like, we love choice and consequence, wish we could show you more, super excited about it, can't wait to show you more again. Like that's just the go-to answer. But the thing that I think has excited people the most is about their focus on choice and consequence and how in particular they're doing it, right? We've heard about games that are saying choice is great and we're going to do choice, and I'm never going to shrink down choice and consequence because I feel like it is a dying breed in gaming where it's more and more the illusion of it. But what they're doing here with choice and consequence is fascinating because they're tying it to time dilation. So what they're saying is that the choices that you're going to make are what you're going to see over the course of years, decades, and centuries. And if you look at during the actual reveal trailer of this game, it's very Interstellar inspired. What was a few days for me was a whole lifetime for her. But now they're creating an RPG experience around that idea. And I find that so exciting because they talk about how you'll go out on these exoduses, and it's not an open space game per se. It sounds very Mass Effect like, where you're going to go out there, you're going to drop down on these planets, but all of them are not going to be fully explorable. It's not going to be like No Man's Sky. It's much more of a, for lack of a better term, linear experience in that you're going from place to place. However, when you go out on these big exoduses, you're obviously going to make choices out there. They say you're going to get a thing called a celestial remnant, and then you'll go back and you'll be able to choose, should I make weapons against the Celestials or can I expand scientific discovery? And you make that choice and you go out on your next exodus, and then you come back and things have dramatically changed because humanity's moved forward in a significant way. And that gets me so excited, despite how high effort it sounds. Like it sounds like it's really tough to pull off, but that is ambitious choice and consequence, and the idea that you are going to be changing civilization in meaningful ways, and each time you return, multiple lifetimes have passed. That is tremendously exciting, the kind of tools they're playing with. But again, if you want to connect deeper with them, and I know many people are going to say, well, duh, I've already seen it, but check out Interstellar. And I say it that way because I saw Interstellar for the first time this year. I know I'm very late to it, but I'm glad I saw it and then watched this, because I remember my wife, when she saw this trailer, she texted me and was like, is this Interstellar the game? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Now seeing the movie and then watching the trailer, I'm like, okay, Interstellar, but an RPG is a great sales pitch, but they're bringing in a lot more alien life form. And of course, you're seeing a lot of inspiration from KOTOR, from Mass Effect, and then the choices and how they're handling them are just a very exciting premise. And of course, they're going to have these companions with you along the way, which they say with the time dilation thing isn't going to bring in new companion members each and every time. They're going to be with you for the full journey so you can establish that emotional connection with them. So they also get to see these changes alongside you. And I can't wait to see, like, obviously different characters, if they're well written, are going to be invested in different pockets of society. So when you make certain choices that are going to affect those pockets of society, I'm pumped, man. Just the idea on paper, if they can pull it off, I am pumped. Now, on the gameplay front, we saw a little at the very tail end of the reveal trailer. We saw a little stealth, a little third-person shooting, a little bit of crawling around. Not enough to really run away with any sort of idea on the moment-to-moment gameplay and what the choices are like and what the exploration is like. But what I will say I've noted is this when it comes to seeing more gameplay, is that they had a plan at the end of last year to show more in January. They did not do that. They went off the grid and then came back with a much bigger Q&A video in April. And then they came back after a few trailers with another Q&A in September. And they continue to say, like, we're doing gameplay reviews. And like Drew Karpyshyn, who apparently, I didn't know this about him, doesn't like anything, actually thought that Exodus was really fun. But nonetheless, they're saying, like, hey, like, we're building something we're very excited about. We actually think we have a fun game here. So it feels like they're building towards something where it might finally be time to show this thing off with a full gameplay trailer. The Game Awards are approaching in just under a month now, and so the timing is lining up brilliantly where they could actually show us some gameplay for Exodus in full 1 year later after their official reveal, where they showed us pre-alpha gameplay. Maybe in that year they've made a lot of progress. I wouldn't put the full pressure on them. It's still pretty early in development, all things considered, but this could be a late 2025 title. This could be an early 2026 title, depending on how development has been trending. But obviously Archetype, for those who have not tracked them, has had their heads down for a while, working on this game for a long time. And it feels like they're really picking up steam, talking about it more. All these cinematic trailers you're seeing have been from the last few months. Like, they've really pounded away with a lot of trailers, a lot of concept art, a lot of talking about the game. They're not really staying quiet in the ways that I think a lot of developers do, and they're building up a great community. It's been really exciting because I'm seeing like a lot of familiar BioWare faces that of channels I watch going over and checking out Exodus, and it's really cool because like people are going, man, like we're still excited about this type of game. Even if Dragon Age didn't fully deliver, we still want to see this type of game succeed and hopefully give us what we once had all those years ago. For me, my little KOTOR heart is singing with joy at the idea of them delivering something special, because James Olin did retire at one point. He retired after Anthem and came back because he said he wanted to tell one more story, and that's deeply personal, man. Like, I don't know, I'm 29, but I do think about retirement maybe more often than I should, of just like, when do you call it quits? And I don't know if you're like a strong creative, if you can ever walk away forever, but the idea that he did call it quits after, you know, the timing was interesting, a project like Anthem, he does call it quits and then moves on and then actually gets inspired by this. And this brought so many people back. Like Drew Karpyshyn said, it like reinvigorated him. Like, it was really exciting to see how many talents were just kind of tired and then were brought back with excitement for Archetype. And this could be, provided it does really well, a leading example of what the games industry is turning into. Again, they have to succeed to prove it right, but at this moment in time, we're seeing a lot of big AAA developers, some of our brightest minds, leave these big studios and go and make their own teams that are still decent in size. Like Archetype is not a very small team, but they're still building up, right? They're building their own asset libraries, they're building up their own set of talent, and kind of passing the baton a little bit to the newer, younger talent in these more tighter, intimate teams that are bringing us games that frankly remind us of the best times of gaming, which for me at least was PS2 to kind of PS3 era, Xbox to Xbox 360 era, where it was that mixture of creativity, and then when you got into the Xbox 360 era, like creativity with a touch of fidelity, enough to look good, but enough to still feel like a video game. And I just feel like a lot of developers get too carried away, too caught up in like, look how pretty our game is. And I don't know, man. It just does not draw me in the way it used to. Like, there was a time where 360 PS3 graphics are a little muddied, and I love the PS4 Xbox One gen because it felt like someone just wiped this smear off my screen that had been there, the Vaseline as people call it, off my screen. But I'm excited to see that some of our top developers in the industry are just getting back to making cool, creative games. So I'm rooting for Exodus. I'll be covering it as we move forward, hoping that there's more gameplay at the Game Awards. But nonetheless, what I really wanted to do was put an exciting game on your radar, a developer that's smaller, that's not getting a ton of mainstream attention, that you should go ahead and give a look to. Check out all of their trailers, all that stuff. It's looking really cool from what we know so far. So I'm hoping with the gameplay reveal, it really delivers. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch all of you in the next video. Let me know your thoughts on Exodus down below. Take excellent care of yourselves. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.